All right, well, hey, thank you very much for coming out and learning a little bit about ZenSin. I know I'm between everybody and happy hour, so I will try and dive right in and tell you a little bit about our company. If you think about cancer and all the progress that's been made and the investments that have been done in really trying to address this global epidemic, you still see some macro trends that are really disheartening. So globally, you still see over 2.3 million cases of breast cancer diagnosed annually, over 700,000 people die annually of different stages of cancer. And really, there's a major gap in the market today when you think about early stage diagnostic tools that would help lead to better outcomes. And really what we say in all that is, everyone knows that there's a major opportunity if you can diagnose and identify cancer early, then apply therapeutics that you improve patient outcomes significantly. However, you still see massive gaps as far as minority members, women of color, people around the world that are still not getting the cancer care they need or the early stage diagnosis that leads to much better outcomes. Further to all that, post-COVID, we've seen a massive change in the amount of pressure that's being placed on different forms from the NHS to healthcare providers throughout the world that are seeing delay times in specialty care and the availability of getting to these specialists for people that really need it. If we think about specific to breast cancer, there's really three main gaps that we see in the market. One is really around early detection, and we'll talk a little bit about what ZenSin is trying to accomplish and how our technology fits into that. The second is around women of denser breast tissues. That's really women of color and younger women who are currently often not getting the diagnostic treatment that they need. And then as far as once someone has been diagnosed with breast cancer, how do you monitor the efficacy of the treatments that they're receiving up to the point of when they receive a biopsy? And this just illustrates one of the current gaps in the pathway that we see today. So if you look at the current pathway that exists for a woman that presents with some symptoms of breast cancer, you really see a one-size-fits-all approach that's highlighted by the top visuals of going into a primary care physician or an OBGYN, then being referred out for specialty care to a mammography, and then that's really where you see the cluster in the system as far as delays and the time that it takes to get the results in, the time it takes to see a therapist, and the time that you get actual diagnostic feedback of whether or not you need additional care or not. Where ZenSin fits into the market is really at that point of care. So a low-cost device that you can use in a primary care, OBGYN, or general practitioner setting that gives a definitive score to say, do you have cancer, do you not, and then helping to filter out people that truly need the care to go on to specialty clinics and get additional care. If you think about the ZenSin scanner, and this is really the technology that we've developed and how we fit into the market, we have a really unique device that you can see highlighted here of what the hardware looks like, where we have patented sensors that are able to detect permittivity and changes that take place within tissue. That's a good leading indicator of someone that's been diagnosed with cancer or showing early signs of cancer, as well as advanced algorithms that sit behind that can provide a deterministic outcome to show you your probability of having cancer and kind of where you fit as far as the probability of needing to move on to get additional therapeutic care. The underlying tech that we use is actually called electrical capacitance tomography, so ECT. And what that does is it creates an electric field that's able to detect the changes in tissue that take place over time. So you look at the bottom screen that shows the way your tissue changes from early stage cancer all the way through to very advanced stage cancer. And that change that's detected is core to our technology, that we're able to differentiate what you would see in healthy tissue all the way through to the changes that are taking place within the ECT technology that shows how cancer progresses. And that's really what enables you to get that deterministic value to say, does someone show early detection signs of cancer, or are they cancer-free and able to not go on to advanced care? What we've accomplished to date is pretty significant. So if you look at where we are now, we passed full safety testing with EMC, which is significant in the sense that we can now move on to doing in-human studies. We've developed the pipelines for data processing so we can do the capture once we've done the scans and bring people through the system. We're in a partnership with Imperial College, which will go live with our first in-human studies starting in January to prove out the technology. We've also agreed 2 additional studies that will kick off, one with Imperial and one in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia later in 2024 that look at the additional use cases for disease progression as well as evaluating women of dense breast tissue. And really where we go into the future, and this is why it's so exciting, is once we get into patient studies, you start to largely flesh out the business model and move into proving out the technology and where it works in the 3 use cases we highlighted. and then we'll move into ISO 13485 development as well as larger scale clinical trials that will lead to the final end product. And lastly, kind of our go-to-market strategy and where you see, I talked about the use cases and where ZenSim sees real opportunities in the market. We're a low-cost solution that will serve as both a low-cost hardware solution and then a point-of-care device where you pay for scan model, so significantly lower cost than what's currently in the market today. You have two really addressable markets, one being in a clinical setting for the diagnostic value, the other in the disease progression evaluation and working with pharmaceutical companies that are evaluating new technologies. That product will be available in early 2025 as far as revenue producing. And as I said, a pay-for-scan business model that significantly reduces costs, expands the access to care across the market, and then we'll initially launch in US, UK, and different EU markets as we go to product. So thank you very much for your time and for hearing a little bit about ZenSim.